because the Conservative Party is literally a dead party walking, and they all know it. Now, there's a lot to get on with this, but for anyone who doesn't know, a lot of MPs are standing down at this next election, which is on the 4th of July. An Independence Day of some sort, you might think. So far, it's 80 MPs, but I don't doubt that by tomorrow, when Bo's going to cover this in detail, but it's some of the most heavy hitters in the Conservative Party that are stepping down. I mean, like just people like Sajid Javid. Took my mum to Parliament as an MP one final time. I mean, he sounds like a condemned man, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He sounds like he's on death row. Mm-hmm. What's your final meal going to be, Saj? Just out of interest. Andrea Leadsom, just here's her letter. Michael Gove, of all people.
What, he's off?
Yeah.
He's going, yeah. I was very surprised by this because he was the sort of the Dark Lord behind a lot of the Conservative Party stuff.
100%.
How did he do with the blob?
I think he's a part of it.
I was going to say, I was always surprised that...
He's the nucleus of it.
Yeah.
He kind of did he intend to destroy it or just bury himself into the centre of it?
It's hard to know because in 2003, Michael Gove had a kind of Saul of Tarsus moment on the road to Damascus when it came to Tony Blair. Mm-hmm. He published an article saying, you know what, I actually love Tony Blair. And then he carried on apparently machinations in the back of the Conservative Party with some kind of WhatsApp group where he would bring together the sort of disaffected members of the Tory party in order to launch attacks on the mainstream of the Tory party. Mm-hmm. And this is what Nadine Dorris talks about in her book, The Plot, saying, no, Gove's behind all of this. Okay. Gove's the problem. And so he's finally created the Tory party to the point where he's losing his own seat. It's like, well, if that was the plan, Michael.
Isn't it all just get what you wish for?
I've no idea at this point.
To quote his Lord and Saviour, Tony Blair, you can do a lot more for politics outside of Parliament than you can inside of it. So
I believe Mr. Obama thinks the same thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going around, actually, isn't there? Like, I think that Tony Blair will become the new chair of the WEF, actually. I think he'll be worryingly more effective than Schwab as well. But anyway, so there are also other MPs that you've never heard of, right? So Greg Clark, 20 years an MP for Tunbridge Wells. Anyone know where Tunbridge Wells is?
It's on the way to Hastings.
That's right. It's a small constituency in Kent. Not very notable. 100,000 people, 117,000.
A lovely train station.
Yep, it's just a nice part of Middle England.
Yeah.
And these sorts of MPs...
It's got the oldest legal firm in the country.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And these are the sorts of MPs who are really going to suffer here, because Greg Clark is probably like most of... I'm in North Wiltshire. I'm just outside of Swindon, so I'm in North Wiltshire. And my MP, been the MP for like 15, 20 years, solid Brexiteer, solid social conservative, decent, actually the sort of people you'd rather be running the Conservative Party, but aren't. They're the victims of this. And I thought we'd just have a quick look at Tunbridge Wells. If we go down significantly here, you can see Tunbridge Wells has not really changed all that much. And if we just judge the religion for a second, no religion in Christianity is 90% of the constituency. Mm-hmm. As you can see, all other religions are represented in the fractions of percentage. Mm-hmm. This is a 90% English place.
Yeah.
So a normal native place. Even there, the Conservative Party are losing.
Yeah.
Even in the most, what you would consider to be intransigent place. Mm-hmm. And I say that because Tunbridge Wells has always voted Conservative. Mm-hmm. Ever since it was founded in 1974 as a parliamentary constituency.
Okay.
It's always returned to Conservative. And in this 90% English borough that is 100% Conservative voting record, the Conservative Party guys are like, well, I'm out. We're done. It's over. Right? That's how unbelievably badly the Conservatives are doing now and how they view themselves.
Abandon your stations.
Literally is Denethor. Mm-hmm. Leave your lives. We are actually at the point where Denethor is in charge of the Conservative Party. And so that's all they've got to do. Even in the most conservative seats, they're just like, nope, time to jump ship.
They know that there's going to be a bloodbath far worse than the 1997 one.
Yeah.
Tony Blair, don't they?
Yeah. Bo's going to cover all the details of this tomorrow. I'm just giving you a quick overview. And so what's interesting though is like someone like Jeremy Hunt, who's actually down in the polls in his West Surrey seat, is for some reason going to fight it out to the bitter end, which is bizarre because of all the people I want to lose their seat, Jeremy Hunt's pretty high up on the list. So okay, is there a fat bumbling angel that can come in and save the Conservative Party? Perhaps tousled blonde hair.
You think Boris Johnson?
I am talking about Boris Johnson.
Is it coming back?
Can he come back and save the Conservatives? Because you may remember,
come back. I mean, anyone can make a comeback. I've made a few.
Absolutely. And you may remember that literally only 4 years ago, Boris Johnson was at like 57% in the polls with the Conservatives. You remember? It's hard to believe now they're at 22%. But nope, he ain't going to do it. I'll be out of the country for the majority of the election
he's on
campaign.
holiday.
I'll help from afar. Oh, really? Oh,
That's
really?
very convenient, isn't it?
I'm sure it'd be a great help anyway.
Well,
I mean, what's he going to...
Well, no.
do?
Boris is a superb campaigner. And,
True.
And he is, as much as the online commentariat have a problem with Boris, he's still very popular with the average person. He is well loved. And
even after his success with Brexit?
Even after all of that. Right.
Okay.
He's got a charm that the average person likes. They like a friendly aristocrat, basically. And that's what Boris comes across as. He invokes the sort of Churchillian manner and things like this. And this still lingers in the minds of the regular person.
But it's, to coin a phrase, performative.
I agree. I'm not saying it's not.
It's totally performative.
Absolutely. If there's one man who doesn't have a spine, it's Boris Johnson.
It couldn't be less like Churchill.
I totally agree. But that's because we're informed on the issues and we pay attention to politics. Whereas the average person who isn't sees the presentation, the performance, and thinks, "Oh, I do like that," because it taps into the sort of lizard brain of the average British
politics
person.
by vibe, isn't it? More than anything else.
100%. That's 100. And Connor's right. 90% of politics is vibe.
Mm-hmm.
How does the person make you feel? Oh, I could go for a beer with him. But the only guardian angel I think the Conservative Party could have pulled out is Boris Johnson, and he ain't coming.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
He's savvy enough to get out of the way, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think everybody, surely.
Well, the 80 politicians just say,
you know what, of course.
Yeah, they're all. But this is the point. After stabbing him in the back and then Liz Truss in the back and installing Rishi Sunak, well, you've got no allies left. Who are you going to bring back to save you? You don't have anyone. And so it's got to the point where there was a link here that I forgot to put in. Even amongst Times newspaper readers, the Times being the premier conservative newspaper in this country, they're losing in that demographic as well. 22% up the Labour Party among Times readers. So that's sort of, the Shire.
Odd though, isn't it, to go from one traitorship to another?
It's very odd, but there we are. For some reason, the British public vote red or blue.
Yeah, it seems
just it.
Yeah. Mm.
I can't explain it, and neither can anyone else. So things are looking pretty rough for the Conservatives, Rishi Sunak in particular. And so he, for some reason, went to where the Titanic was built to give a press conference or to have an interview with the press.
How fantastic.
Let's just watch a bit of this, because it's just preposterous.
Prime Minister, we are just yards away from where the Titanic was built and designed. Are you captaining a sinking ship going into this election?
So if you look at what's happened over the past few weeks alone, you can see that our plan is working. Inflation.
Okay, I'm not even going to listen. He looks like the cartoon mouse from Ratatouille. And
True.
Also, he just says the same tripe over and over. Our plan's working. It's like, dude, you went to where the Titanic was built in this political context, and it's not surprising the journalists are like, well, are you captaining a sinking ship? Yeah, obviously he is.
Yeah, but I mean, isn't the whole raison d'etre of everything public facing through politics and the media just to troll the public now?
Well, it does look that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think we're just being laughed at.
It does look that way. Because, I mean, it's not like Rishi Sunak is personally going to suffer in any way.
No, of course not.
He's a billionaire. He's going to golden parachute out to California probably and just become, a CEO of a tech company or something like that. So
it's kind of like things are being written by Armando Iannucci, right, in the thick of it. Because when you're having a really terrible campaign, the last thing you want to do is go to a place that's known for building a sinking ship. Well, it's like he's trying. But
it has to be intentional. My point is, all of this has to be intentional.
That's the thing, and that's what I really want to talk about. Is are they throwing the election? Because it really, I mean, I don't know what else you would do if you were trying to throw the election. Like, okay, we're going to go to where the Titanic was.
Aren't they just trying? Look, I guess if your job is involved with the Conservative Party, it's like, let's just get it over quickly. It's kind of ripping the plaster off.
Maybe.
But the system, the uniparty system as a whole, is just having fun at the public's expense constantly. I mean, the BBC, every channel, the entire mainstream media and mainstream life of the country is employed in torturing the captives on this island.
It's definitely some truth to that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I spoke about this last week because Rishi Sunak being out in the rain without an umbrella to call the election, it's like someone made him do
on a really massive podium.
Yeah, on a massive podium. So he looks diminutive and pathetic.
They should have put one of those on a big chair. Big chairs you see in the park.
I'm surprised they didn't give him like a crate to stand on or something, you know. But so he looks diminutive and pathetic, calling an election when he's at the lowest ebb. And he's soaked to the skin. Doesn't have a coat, doesn't have an umbrella. And it's just like someone has made that decision for him.
I've seen people on that parliamentary podium hold an umbrella before. It's not beyond the realm of reason, right?
Don't they have staff to hold on?
Yeah. Well.
They've got an entire media room in number 10 that they could have done it from. You know, whereas like, you know, wood paneling, high back chair and stuff like that. But obviously not. So some force in the Conservative Party, in my opinion, is out to humiliate Rishi Sunak, which is fine. I don't like Rishi Sunak. But it's just very interesting how we keep seeing these very bizarre things. But despite reports...
Why is he playing along with it? I mean, okay, is he in on the gag?
Exactly. Why is he playing along? Because the thing is, he doesn't look like he's in on the gag.
That's, yeah.
You know,
I mean, surely he must... If someone says, oh, I've got a great idea, why don't you go to where the Titanic was built? You know, so you would go, maybe that's not a great idea for me personally. I can see why it'd be hilarious to everyone else. But why is it potentially not a good idea for me personally to be humiliated?
I wish I could answer it.
Because surely, even once all this is gone and past and he's having a lavish lifestyle internationally somewhere, people still bring it up and go, remember when? So as a person, you think, well, I probably don't want to have that. I mean, I've done some things.
Well, who hasn't?
And people, you know, of course. But, you know, they're often brought up and thrown in my face at inopportune moments.
Sure, but I never captured the sinking party in front of the Titanic.
No. No. I mean, fortunately, I didn't do it on the news. So there you go.
So anyway, there were rumours that he'd be not campaigning after announcing the election. This isn't true. Apparently, he's been limply shaking people's hands around the country or around his constituency.
He can't help that, though.
Yeah, he can't help that, but it's
why don't they do... I'll pay off your mortgage. Like you're saying, you know, hello, they'd be more successful if he did kind of like a TV show. Hey, you've been chosen. I'm just going to pay. I'm super rich and I'm going to pay off your mortgage.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Here's the leading in the Times reader poll. 49% to 26% for voting Conservative versus Labour among Times readers, which again is just staggering. Absolutely staggering.
Even the Lib Dems are up.
Yeah, even the Lib Dems are. It's just mad. And so things are looking bad for the Conservatives. And as you say, they need a big, bold gamble. They need to be like, okay, we know things suck and we're terrible, but how about we conscript your children and send them to Ukraine to die against Russian guns? What about that? You're going to vote for us now? It's like, no. Weirdly, I'm not in favour of that.
This is obviously electoral suicide, as well as the fact that it would be an absolutely astronomically terrible idea.
Conscription?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no. The thing is, you can see how this has been pitched. They're pitching this at the Boomers, saying, look, we're going to conscript your grandkids and get them killed in Ukraine. Aren't you up for that? And I mean, maybe
I'm not fighting.
Hasn't there been numerous conscription type plans launched for kind of national service, of a community service and those kind of things?
I don't think anything's ever come to fruition.
But it has often been posited.
It has. And so this is what the Conservatives thought they would do. And they've gone full bore on this, which is just kind of mad. In fact, what we'll do is we'll watch Rishi's TikTok video about it, because for some reason they put
sorry.
on TikTok.
Yeah, watch the video. I'm kind of interested.
Hi TikTok, sorry to be breaking into your usual politics-free feed, but I'm making a...
On TikTok, politics free.
That mad. But like, who thought this was a good idea?
Hey, it's great. I won't be dying with you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm making a big announcement today, and I've been told that a lot of you already have some views on it. So, firstly, no, I'm not sending everyone off to join the army. What I am doing is proposing a bold new model of national service for 18-year-olds. They'll be able to choose to spend 12 months in a full-time military commission, or 1 weekend per month volunteering in roles within your local community, like delivering prescriptions and food to elderly people, or in search and rescue. This will give all young people valuable life skills, make our country more secure, and build a stronger national culture. Plus, people will receive best-in-class training in critical skills from cyber to civil engineering and leadership. But look, I know a lot of you will have questions on this, so follow the account, put your thoughts in the comments.
I mean, we could just employ them.
You spent a long time in Germany as a young man. There was isn't this very much like the German model that there was, where you could choose to spend a time in community service?
I actually don't know, because I lived on an English colony in Germany.
Oh, okay.
So we never had anything like that proposed.
I think there are different countries in Europe that have this kind of model.
Oh, yeah, certainly. I mean, Israel does this.
Yeah. No, but I mean, particularly with the community service side of it.
And you would, on its own, it's not necessarily the worst thing I've ever heard, but it's also just preposterous, because at no point was anyone like, you know what this country needs? Community service. That'll fix all of our problems.
That's given as a punishment for crime. It's like, oh yes, we've got this exciting new opportunity. We're going to treat you like a petty criminal.
Yeah, punished for the crime of being young in Britain.
I wouldn't be surprised if, Google searches for the Anarchist Cookbook went up significantly after he released this, because, that's the kind of reaction I would expect from him saying you're going to be a slave to the government.
As they're gearing up for more aggression.
Well, precisely.
In other different parts of the world. It seems... Yeah, it is a bit. I'm not sending you off to die. Really?
Yet.
Yeah, quite. I mean, so and with the numbers in the armed forces dropping.
So James cleverly, I mean, all the Conservatives have come out and defended this, and it's just like, look, this is just hilariously tone deaf. Like, no one sat here thinking, God, if only the young people were being conscripted to deliver prescriptions and to wipe old people's bums, then this country would be on the right track. That's just not the solution to any of our problems. And so them coming out and being like, well, it'll help with the fragmentation. It
just seems a little bit late. It seems. I mean, these ideas were around. I remember these ideas in the 80s and the 90s. I mean, I remember these ideas every decade
when we had a much more homogenous society.
When there was a much more and in the 80s, it kind of. I would have hated it. I mean, I would have fled.
Oh yeah,
and done anything I could to get away from it in my teens. Yeah. I was far too busy at that time of my life, having a marvelous time, like I suppose, like teenagers should be.
Yes,
but but as you say, at least back then, it would have made. It may have helped
the argument
stem the fragmentation that was already setting in.
The argument could have been made, well, Britain in the 80s was quite a good country, actually.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it was.
I know. 80s and 90s is a superb country, right up until something happened in 1997.
There was large-scale homelessness, and there was incredible large-scale poverty.
I'm not saying there weren't problems. What I'm saying is the country didn't feel like it was angled towards foreigners and against the native population.
No.
It didn't feel like the country hated you.
I mean, Mrs. Thatcher, for all her pros and cons, did seem to like Britain.
She was very pro-British.
And English.
Yeah.
She was so pro-English.
Absolutely. And so in like the 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s, this could make sense. It's like, no, this is a good country. It works for you. Mm-hmm. You can expect to have a good future here. And therefore... you could be expected to do a year's service or something. Okay, fair enough. I can hear the argument. But, I mean, no one can say to young people now, oh, by the way, the future of Britain is looking fantastic. Mm-hmm. And you'll certainly be treated with a great deal of respect. So come and do your national service. I mean, they're like, well, we're worried about fragmentation in society. That's because you let in over 1 million immigrants a year. That's what's causing it. It's just the sum total of the problem.
But I mean, that's on top of an already dysfunctional system.
Sure. But the dysfunctional system can be withstood if the society underneath it is cohesive enough and strong enough. And
well, it can be rebuilt, theoretically. There's a position for rebuilding.
Absolutely. But while they're currently smashing us with mass immigration, no, we
intentionally.
Intentionally, yeah. They've done this on purpose.
Just like they're trolling at the Titanic side.
It does seem that way, doesn't it?
This is.
And so anyway, just to carry on, people were like, well, hang on a second. If it's mandatory, will they go to prison? And Cleverly was like, no, don't be silly, except a bunch of leaked documents.
Maybe
came out saying they would.
Maybe they'll be deported if they don't do their mandatory national service.
The thing is, it'll be a lot of British people. I can't imagine.
You think?
Yes.
Or do you think, actually,
well,
as Mr. Trump pointed out in the Bronx, they're building an army.
That is possible, and it certainly is not something I'm going to rule out. But I think that they will. I mean, they seem to be pitching it at the native British. They don't seem to be pitching it.
Yeah, well, I mean, they can't say, "Hey, I've got a great idea. Come out of your 4-star hotel into the barracks." Well, lots of them are in the barracks already. So what they've got to do is throw on a uniform and start marching. Yeah.
They could argue, well, look, this is a quick way to citizenship or something like that.
Of course.
So they could have pitched it like that.
Service guarantees citizenship. Where have we heard that?
Yeah, absolutely. But surely that's next.
Quite possibly. And I can't predict the future, but it would not.
We can't predict the future.
But the point is,
it's tempting to try.
Yeah, and the way that this is framed, it seems to be aimed at the native British teenagers, which I'm sure they're going to be thrilled with. And so this, I mean, they're thinking about going quite hard on this. Rishi Sunak is apparently considering banning future applicants from applying to public sector jobs if they don't undertake national service. You're not going to be in charge, Rishi.
I was going to say, is he setting this up for Keir Starmer? So is he just announcing this because Keir Starmer doesn't really want to announce it in his first week? Or?
Well, honestly, there is exactly that question. Is this some sort of like political theatre that's going on?
Absolutely.
As wrestling.
Absolutely. It's all performed. We know that they all work for the same people.
Exactly. Is he teeing up Keir Starmer to be able to do this and to take the blow out of it, so the negative energy flows onto Rishi? And Keir's like, well, this is just what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And so but the thing is, right, I think that might all be the case, but I can't prove it. But one thing I do suspect very strongly is that the Conservatives have been sat on this for a while because they've seen this kind of polling, right? As in, would you support or oppose compulsory national service for young people? 42% yes, 34% no, right? And obviously, going through the age groups, 50 and over are much more in support.
Hooray! Yeah, get rid of the youngsters, get them off my street corner, get off my lawn.
Exactly. And so I think they've been sat on this, being like, okay, things look bad, but we're going to wow them with national service. And all the old people, all the 50s and over, like, yeah, get those young people out and doing whatever. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, that's just not the issue. That's not anything salient in the political landscape at the moment. And so this just seems very left-wing, like, from out of left field sort of thing. It's just like, why are you bringing this up? This isn't the source or the solution to any problems. And I don't think this is going to significantly shift them in the polls. I don't think it's going to get people out voting.
But it's not meant to. Again, it's not meant to. It's just, I think you're absolutely right. It's meant to take the heat off.
It may well be. And like I said, I'm just speculating. I can't be sure.
I like that 18 to 34-year-olds are -3. The people it actually affects aren't so keen.
Weirdly,
it's not exactly appealing, is it? Being an indentured servant to the state that is taking all your opportunities.
Funny that.
Yeah. But the thing is, I don't really care about 18-year-old opinions anyway.
It's not opinion. It is their lives. A 34 isn't an 18-year-old. There's a large gap in age.
That would include me. Yeah.
I mean, it's not. It's not teenagers, is it? It's kind of all younger people.
That is true, but they're only saying 18-year-olds.
Oh, is that what they're saying? Oh, sorry. Okay,
it's just when polled.
Oh, so it's not 25-year-olds are going to be pulled out of their jobs and pushed into the barracks. No. Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, not yet. When they officially
that would have got a bit of a pushback.
When they officially declare the war with Russia, maybe it will be. But at the moment it's not. And so, I mean, okay, I think that's mad and tone deaf and won't go over well with the electorate generally. And so do the military. The military are like, what? Where has this come from? Bonkers, says one military chief. What they need, in fact, quote, I'm delighted if more young people become more aware of defence and are involved, but this idea is basically bonkers, Lord West said. We need to spend more on defence, and by doing what he's suggesting, money will be sucked out of defence. And that's literally Labour's only objection to this. When Keir Starmer was asked about it, he was like, well, this is just a waste of £2.5 billion. Really, Keir? There's not the state conscripting all of your children to go into the wars in Ukraine or in Israel or wherever else. That's not the issue.
Can you imagine a whole influx of modern teenagers into the diminishing army or armed forces of this? But let's start with basic behavior.
Yes.
Because not all of these people are going to be grade A students.
Attention span, perhaps.
And not all scholars.
Yeah. But like being able to pay attention to a certain thing for a certain period of time. Difficult enough.
And put your phones down, I said, put your phones down. I mean, let's just start there.
No, you don't have your phone on during a war zone because they can track your movement using the signals. But anyway, Keir Starmer's only criticism of this so far is that it costs too much money. Okay.
When do they care about that?
Yeah, A, one, do they care about that? But B, that means that Keir Starmer is definitely on board with the moral philosophy of the state conscripting your children to fight for Ukraine. He just thinks it's going to cost too much.
There are many people in the Labour Party that believe children belong to the state, don't they? That's
100%. So why
policies that they support.
Why would he have any criticism of it whatsoever? And of course, just flipping over to the Labour Party very quickly.
There's clearly people in the Conservative Party who believe your children belong to the state.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Else they wouldn't be putting this forward.
And reform.
Labour intend to make voting for 16 and 17-year-olds viable. If you can work, if you can pay tax, if you can serve in your armed forces, which you may have to, then you ought to be able to vote. It's like, great. That's just something. I mean, I don't think that 16-year-olds know anything about the country or how it should be run, but then I don't really think 18-year-olds know anything about the country or how it should be run either. I'd raise the voting age to about 35 and make sure you own property as well, but then what do I know? I'm just concerned about the future.
I'm neither of those things, so I wouldn't be able to vote.
I know. Based.
Thanks, Carl.
Exclude.
Yeah. I want an exclusionary policy when it comes to voting.
I think there's, as coming from nightclubs, they were exclusive. All of our clubs were exclusive. We had someone on the door for a reason.
The only good things in life are exclusive. Something that's for everyone.
I think rubbish. That, maybe people should be able, if there was some kind of service or at least some civics exam that you could pass. I mean, it's very difficult for people to acquire property currently.
Sure. I mean, as things stand, maybe the property requirement is too high, but I think just reaching 35 or something like that.
Sure. But I mean, I also think some kind of civics qualification would be useful. Yeah. So you actually know why Parliament was structured as it is and what that gave us, what that brought us as a civilization.
But the reason that Keir Starmer wants 16-year-olds voting is because they're young and ignorant and they don't know anything about anything.
And they won't want to sign up either or be.
They won't do it either. Like the turnout for 16-year-olds will just be minuscule.
Yeah, it's negligible.
Anyway, Keir Starmer is something of a Stalinist, and I don't say that lightly or frivolously. He seems to actually, I mean, as he says here, I find it easy to be ruthless. Okay. Have we got some examples of that? Yeah, Jeremy Corbyn got absolutely yeeted out of the Labour Party, just completely out now. He was stripped of his Labour membership. He's going to stand as an independent. And then one Islington Labour councillor was like, well, that's a bit far, isn't it? And so he was kicked out too.
I joined Momentum to vote for Jeremy Corbyn.
Really?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, why not? I mean, yeah, quite. Just because he was oppositional to the Blairite wing.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Corbyn is bonkers and believes nonsense stuff and supports every terrorist.
At least he believes it.
Exactly. At least it's a genuine conviction, and he kind of centers himself in Britain. Like, at least he's from here. Whereas Keir Starmer's like, oh, I love Davos over Westminster. I can't wait to get back there. Jeremy Corbyn, like, as much as I don't like the things he is and what he stands for, he's at least not like a weird alien imposition, I
mean, he's a very nice man. I've met him a couple of times.
Right.
Islington.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure personally he is a nice man as well. But then the Labour Party in Islington were like, okay, can we democratically elect our own representatives? And Keir Starmer was like, no. Why would you be able to do that? This is Keir Starmer. And I really mean, this is genuinely echoes of Stalinism, where he ruthlessly purges the Corbynites.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's looking like Starmer means business. And the business is choosing a new Labour anthem because, of course, they can't promise that things can only get better.
Sorry.
I've been teeing that one up. I've been waiting a whole segment for that. Just in case you were thinking, okay, I'm going to vote Reform. No, Reform are still doing trial by journalist as their official policy for choosing who their candidates are.
Yeah, that's kind of disappointing.
It's pathetic.
On every
Absolutely
level.
pathetic.
But wasn't Tice always... I mean, he seemed, from the very beginning, he
seems very much a part of the Westminster consensus.
Yeah, absolutely.
And here was a chap who got deselected. Just out of the blue, he got deselected because I guess someone from Hope Not Hate wrote another article. What are you going to do? And so if you're wondering, well, okay, who am I exactly going to vote for? My answer is, I don't know. I personally want to vote for whoever wears this shirt. right? Richard the Lionheart charging into battle. That's the person I want to vote for. Like some kind of crusading party.
How long until the hero emerges?
I don't know. But good God, go and check out our merch store and get these shirts because they're awesome.
That was very slick, Carl.
I know, it's very good. I'm a professional at this. But Rory designed these shirts and they are superb.
Hurrah!
So go and check out our merch. But by the way, just to finish this off, if you didn't realise, Bridgen, an MP who's kicked out of the Conservative Party for being decent, was pointing out that, we're kind of at a war and we're expecting more of a war, so conscripting people. Interesting. And this kind of slipped under the radar as well. For some reason, the government was like, have 3 days worth of tin, food and water, by the way. What?
I do that anyway.
Sure. I had such a disaster with my first prepping. I was a very keen prepper on my balcony in a flat, and it went hideously wrong. I pulled back a tarpaulin, and it was just one great big mushroom because everything had broken, water had got in. So my first attempt went miserably wrong.
It looks like the government is expecting emergencies in the future. And this kind of went under the radar because then Rishi Sunak was like, we're going to conscript you all. So what are you going to do? But we'll leave that there. Good luck in the future. Don't know who you can vote for. Go check out our merch.
I like the merch.
The merch is fantastic. Again, Rory, other people designed it.
I've done quite a lot of designs with St. George. Another story. Why not?
Oh, it's fantastic.
I hope you appreciated that segment from the podcast to the Lotus Eaters. And if you want to see more of the work we're doing, you can go on down to lotuseaters.com, where you can check out series like Lads Hour, as well as you can follow us on Twitter to see the rest of what we're doing on the website.